Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. Before we get too far into the video, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that helps out my channel a great deal. And feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. I have some exciting news. You may remember a while back, if you follow my channel, that I broke my rolling mill, and I reached out to a company, Pepe Tools, and they came through and helped me out with the new rolling mill. So I'm very excited about that. And not only that, I've become an affiliate of Pepe Tools. So from now on, there will be a link in my video descriptions to Pepe Tools where you can check out some of the great products that they have. I have an amazing rolling mill and a number of other things that you've probably seen me using in the recent couple of videos. I didn't want to announce until I had finalized everything, and now it is. So if you do want to go check that out, click that link in my video description and check out some of the great things that they have over there. I'm amazed at the cool tools that they've sent me, so check it out. Doing this channel, I've started to explore a lot of the different art periods in the recent past, and an offshoot of Art Deco was called Art Moderne, and you see it a lot in like old car body styles from the 40s and 50s that are all streamlined and sleek looking. And so today I'm going to make a ring that's kind of got some characteristics of Art Moderne, and I think it should be a fun project. So we'll see how it turns out. Before we get started, I need to thank some people. Thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. That's a great group of people over there, not only supporting me financially, but creating a really cool environment that I love to interact with. So thanks for that. Thank you to my YouTube subscribers as well. We are getting close to 11,000. I think we'll hit 11,000 in the next couple of days probably. So thanks for that. Thank you also for the nice contributions like the Buy Me a Coffee or the Super Thanks. With the rising cost of materials, that really helps out a lot. So thanks for that. All right, well, let's get started on this project. This is one of my design idea books you can find on my merch store if you're so inclined. I have found in recent years that if I sketch things up in advance, I get a little bit better outcome. So here's today's. So I picked out, I considered doing this little orangey citrine, which is kind of nice. But as far as Streamline goes, I have this little kind of rectangular chalcedony with a little hint of kind of purple or blue to it, and I think I'm going to use that instead. So that's going to be the primary stone right there. And I've made some of these in the past. My wife bought one years ago that was similar to this at a gem show, I think it was. And I thought, what an interesting ring. So I've copied it over the years like this. For this one, I'm going to modify it a little bit. I'm going to, on the side over here where these little kind of streamline things come off of the bezel, I'm going to layer them so it has some details that remind me of the Art Moderne kind of profiles on things, kind of streamlined and layered. So we'll see how that looks. I've never done one quite like that, but it's a variation of one I have done before, so we'll give that a shot and see how that goes. As far as materials go, we have this cab. Let's see how big he is. He's about 10 by 8, I'm guessing. 10 by 8, and we're going to be using quite a bit of 18 gauge sheet. These decorations that I have right here that are going to be soldered down to the main piece of sheet that sticks off like little fins. I think I'm going to use 22, so it's a little bit thinner than the 18. I don't want it to get too wide there. The bezel, I'm going to use 3/16 inch fine silver bezel strip and 26 gauge. And for the bottom, I'll use 26 gauge sheet. I think that's everything. So I kind of drew it out to proportion because I think the proportions are important on this one. I've made a couple and I didn't really like the way the proportions came out. So we'll see if we can do one that looks really nice. First, let's make a bezel for this. So let's find some 3/16 inch fine silver bezel strip. If you've never been to my channel before, I use hard silver sheet solder for almost everything. And I use a liquid flux called My-T-Flux, but I have some new flux from Pepe Tools, so I'm going to check that out in a video or two in the near future and see how that stuff works. based on the quality of their other tools, I'm thinking it's going to work well. So I'm going to put the end of where the solder joint is going to be on the long side of this. This isn't perfectly rectangular. It's got rounded corners, and it's even a little bit asymmetrical besides that as far as being a rectangle. It's not really a true rectangle. Just kind of get it as tight as we can here. When I'm making a bezel like this, I usually leave a little bit extra on there for filing purposes. Not a huge amount. I'm excited to do a project with my new rolling mill, but probably don't use it today. But it seems to work really well, so I'm excited. That is a little electric starter for a torch. It sounds a little bit like a bug zapper when you start it. And my poor dog is terrified of bug zappers, so I did that a while back when she was sitting down here, and she looked very concerned. We're pretty good on our size. Let's find some 26 gauge sheet. And then we cut it off right about there. Leave a little bit of a lip on the outside. So now we're going to flux this, put 3 or 4 pieces of solder on the inside and tuck them up against the edge, and then heat around the outside of the bezel there until it flows. Seemed like everybody really liked the last video about weaving stuff. I'll do another textile-based kind of thing in a month or 2. Maybe crocheting. I'm just going to trim off the excess here. You always want to make sure you got a good soldered seam all the way around. Just kind of file this flush with the bottom. So we have that. Now we need to cut 2 pieces of 18 gauge. I think this seems like a good size, so I'm going to use that for scale. And I measured how long it was. It was 17 millimeters long from here to here. So if I cut some rectangles 17 millimeters long and about that wide, that should be perfect. So I think I can use my little calipers to kind of get an idea how wide I want this to be. Like that. That should be long enough to get both of them, as long as I can cut a nice straight line. Sometimes when you cut things with the shears, though, you'll notice it has a slight little curve to it. It's pretty easy to get rid of that. If it's straightened back out. Comes out pretty easily. This shouldn't be a terribly complex string, but it might take some precise soldering. See if I can do it neatly. Alright, I'm going to try and tape these together, and then I'll use a saw to cut a nice curve on them. Sometimes when I want to mark out a specific, a really precise line is the word I'm looking for here. If you use a marker, so we use that as a guide, kind of, and see if we can't saw that out nicely. Look at that. Okay. A little bit wider than I had anticipated. I might file the top just a little bit, and the bottom. Pretty symmetrical. Alright, let's find some 22 gauge. It seems like if I just take the calipers and narrow them down just a tiny bit, not very much, I should be able to get a slightly shorter one out of this. Let's go about that thick. Kind of eyeballing this, so cut this point off so I don't stab myself. Wouldn't be the first time. Pretty similar. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing I did before, just make kind of a slight taper, but it's going to have to sit down more like that. So there's a little lip up top, and then I'll probably have to file that shorter. I'll be right back. These are the two smaller ones, these are the bigger ones. So I think the easiest way to connect these is if I sweat a little bit of solder, which is to pre-melt a little bit of solder onto these, either that side or this side. I probably do it on the littler ones. But so let's cut some fresh solder, and then we'll just melt it on there, and then we'll flip them over, and we'll see if we can't get them to sit nicely. Sometimes when you're soldering two pieces of sheet together, they kind of skate around on top of each other, so I may need to use my pick to kind of push it back in there. If you haven't seen my video on pick soldering, put a link up there for you. It's a really useful skill. You should check it out. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this on the end of the pick. Put a little bit on here. Put a little bit over on there. Maybe 3. So we got kind of a puddle across the whole back. So we're both pretty close. I keep tweezers and my pick here kind of handy in case I need to move something a little bit. As you heat it, some of that flux that's on there is going to kind of settle down. And this may move a little bit. Okay. I think I got it on there. It did try to move on me a little bit. Seems like we got them, both of them with just a little bit of a ridge up top. Pretty good. So now we need to make the third one that's going to sit on top of that slightly smaller. I'm going to do the same thing I just did. Okay, I'll be right back. Let's give that a shot and see how that looks. You know what I did though? Did them on the same side. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going to have to take 2 of these off and flop them over to the other side. I think I can do it. Let's see. That was a newbie mistake. What are you gonna do? Sometimes you screw up. Alright, let's see if we can fix this. That's better. What was I thinking? Okay, so now we need to attach them to our bezel. Let's see if I can do that the right way. File this and cut the ends off, because if you'll notice they all end at the same spot. So now I need these. It's about 2 millimeters in from the edge. But I think I need a softer surface to push this into. So let me see if I got a magnesia block I can use. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's solder it and see what it looks like. I still have some solder here. I'm just going to pick some on there. Do our best not to move anything. The other thing about them is part of this is buried in the magnesia block, and so that makes it harder to get the bezel up to temperature, although there's quite a bit of more mass in these side pieces. It should kind of compensate for it. Okay, I'm liking that so far. That's pretty cool. Alright, so now we got to get a band attached to this, and what I did was I measured it out for, I think I measured 7.5, 8. So I want it to fit between there, and so I need to remove a little bit off of there. Square back up again. I need to do a filer like this so it's nice and flat. But also going straight up and down. That's pretty good. Now if we can just keep everything in place. The band is exposed to the heat up here, so that'll get hot pretty easily. This big thing on the bottom has a significant amount of mass now. Maybe a little bit harder to get up to temperature. But I really need it to in order for it to stick to this. And much of the heat gets focused on the bottom here. I didn't think anything moved, so I think we're okay, but we'll find out. I think I'm liking this one. And I think we got a good solder seam there. Alright, so at this point, it's time to pickle this. And so when I come back, we can get everything all ready to go and set the stone. Okay, I got this all set at the right level, I think. So now we just need to get everything tightened up in there. I do this a little differently than some. Most people use a bezel pusher and a burnishing tool. I'm just going to use my chain nose pliers here. I really like this one. My only regret is that the stone is not a little more regular. Last stage is burnishing, and I'm going to use the rounded outer part of the chain nose pliers here to kind of rub that top edge. Alright, so here's what I had in mind. That's what I got, pretty much. I'm pleased with the overlays here. There's a little bit of porosity in the solder there, which I'm not happy about, but sometimes it's hard to avoid that. But yeah, I think that came out pretty close to what I was looking for. It has a slightly inward taper, which I kind of like. It makes it sort of atomic age. Something Flash Gordon would wear. Cool. All right. I'll take some better pictures and put them at the end. Okay, well that was the Art Moderne ring. At least that's what I think it looks like, so I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you leave. That really helps out a lot. And check out a few of my other videos. I have over 300 now, so there's lots of project ideas, different techniques, at all different skill levels. I think there's something for almost everybody, who, no matter what level they're at, metalsmithing wise. So check those out. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. And don't forget to hit the video description for those important links. Not only the Pepe Tools link, but there's a link to a video on safety, because safety is important, and some other links to help support the channel if you're interested. There's the Buy Me a Coffee link, which helps with supplies. There's the merch store, where you can get one of those nice design idea books or a funny coffee mug or something like that. There's a link to my website if you want to check out some jewelry I've made. And there is a link to my Patreon if you want to find out more about that community over there. It's a great place. All right, well, thank you for watching. Take care. Happy silversmithing.